How's it going, everyone? Due to scheduling difficulties, Matt and I are forced to do the podcast a little differently in the next coming weeks. So, while we can still give you content, we have decided that we are going to give you the top 5 takeaways that we have over the last week. So, without further ado, I'm about to get into mine, and then I will leave it for Matt later on. So, number 5, you know this is where I was going to go. The primetime matchup between my Duke Blue Devils and the number 1 ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs. It was a great game that lived up to the hype and foreshadowed a potential NCAA tournament rematch. However, this game says more to me about Duke than it does Gonzaga. Gonzaga has 20-plus point wins over the likes of Texas and UCLA earlier in the season, and they shot 53% against the very good defensive Duke Blue Devils. The hype matchup, of course, came between the potential top 2 picks in Paolo Banchero and Chet Holmgren. Both players played well, but Banchero had a statement performance in the first half, scoring 20 of his 21 points in the first half before having cramp issues in the second. Holmgren had a solid performance in his own right, with 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Banchero got the attention, but Wendell Moore chipped in with his 20 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. Mark Williams was a big factor rim running and protecting the rim, finishing with 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Sleeper performance is Trevor Keels. Not a big stat game, but set the tone defensively, helping the Duke defense force 17 turnovers, leading to 23 points off of those turnovers, which essentially was the difference. I said preseason this Duke team could end Coach K's coaching career in style, and this is a win that makes my prediction look really good. My number 4, this is also a topic that is near and dear to my heart because it has to do with my Indianapolis Colts. What is Jonathan Taylor's actual MVP chances? After 204 total yards and 5 touchdowns against the Bills, the Jonathan Taylor for MVP bandwagon gained some passengers. And keep in mind, I'm a Colts fan, so this is very special to me. Here's his case. Pending the Bucs matchup that is going to happen later today, he is the league leader in rushing yards and is 271 yards ahead of the next active rusher. Add 15 total touchdowns and you have a nice season already. But is it enough to win the QB leaning award? His best argument. The Colts began the season 1-4. Taylor averaged 103 total yards, not rushing yards, total yards in those games and 3 total touchdowns. The Colts are 5-1 since that stretch, and Taylor has bumped his average to 153 total yards and 12 total touchdowns, 132 of those on the ground alone. So upping his performance, he is the engine that drives the team, turning their season around to make the playoffs. That would be his best case. My number 3 takeaway, and is going to come from the Iron Bowl. Alabama keeps its college football hopes alive, for the moment, in a win over Auburn. They trailed all game long, but down 7 with 1:11 left, they marched down the field to tie the game. 4 overtimes later, Bryce Young hits John Mechie for the game-winning 2-point conversion to steal the game. I don't care what anyone says, this is the greatest rivalry in college football. Alabama faces Georgia in the SEC championship game, and obviously a win solidifies the tide to get in. But a loss creates controversy. Does a 2-loss Alabama team get the nod over the likes of others in the college football playoff? You decide. Number 2, because I am locally based in Louisville, Kentucky, you know I had to cover a certain matchup. I think we call it the Governor's Cup or something like that. I don't know. I usually don't even care about this game. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the Louisville versus Kentucky matchup. For some reason, and this is why Vegas needs to hire me or Matt, because Louisville was favored by 3 heading into the game. I'm a little confused by that because I don't know how you can watch either Louisville or Kentucky all season long and even come to that conclusion. But anyways, without further ado, the game went exactly as I expected. This is an SEC versus non-Clemson ACC recruiting example. Domination up front on both sides of the ball for the Cats. The players are bigger, stronger in every position, and just bullied and grounded and pounded their way to victory. The Cats rushed for more yards than Louisville had total yards, and that is not a joke. The Cats rushed for 364 yards on 7.5 yards a carry. That is insane. Louisville, as a team, only had 352 yards. 4 seems to be the magic number in this rivalry. A couple years ago, UK dominated U of L and only needed 4 passing yards to do it. This game Quarterback Will Levis, who I have been very critical on this podcast, rushed for 4 touchdowns, and he's not known as a rushing quarterback. But the biggest takeaway I have for this is that head coach Scott Satterfield's days in Louisville are officially numbered. It's time to give Jeff Brom an offer he can't refuse. I've been saying it on this podcast for a while. It's time to do it. I'm not a Louisville fan, but this is an outsider looking in's perspective. And my number one takeaway, and this also comes near and dear to my heart because I get to rep my alma mater, these St. X Tigers. Yes, sir. Let's go. Let's get into this. On Friday night, with a 31-21 win over Madison Central, my St. X Tigers are headed back to the Class 6A state championship for the first time since 2017, and it is the first appearance under head coach Kevin Wallace. They will face off against the number 1 team in the state, the Male Bulldogs. The Tigers faced the Bulldogs back on September 3rd, falling 28-21. However, the Tigers scored all 21 of their points in the second half while holding the Bulldogs to a goose egg. The Bulldogs are 13-0 on the season and have all kinds of firepower on both sides of the ball. Halfback Dylan Sweeney is the engine that makes that offense go with 1,538 yards and 29 touchdowns. Wide receivers Vinny Anthony, who is a Wisconsin commit, by the way, and Max Gainey make life for quarterback Nick Shute wonderful with his 2,519 passing yards and 29 touchdowns. The Bulldog defense is no slouch either, only allowing 7 points per game, including 5 shutouts. Noah Thomas and Chad Carroll make life tough for opposing quarterbacks with 7 and 8 sacks respectively. The Tigers offensively are led by their senior quarterback, Jack Savory, who is a true dual threat with his 2,032 yards and 25 touchdowns through the air, along with another 1,213 yards and 22 touchdowns on the ground. Wide receiver Mekhi Smith, or as we like to call him, Primetime Kai, is Savory's favorite target, and for good reason. His big playability checks the box score with 78 catches and 800 yards and 8 touchdowns, while adding another 200 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. The Tiger defense holds its own, allowing 15 points per game, including 3 shutouts. Senior linebacker Ben Marks leads the team with 96 tackles and 3 interceptions. The game will be at Kroger Field on Saturday, December 4th at 8 p.m. We are St. X. Let's take the state title home, baby. But those are my top 5 takeaways. Matt, take it away.